Howdy folks, I'm Super Sweet Crabapple, softly swooning under the sweltering sun.
I'm Amber.
And here's more sweltering sun for us to swoon under, or maybe we're just reading Reddit. I don't know. You be the judge. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Reporting My Boss After He Forced Me to Attend a Meeting Despite Knowing That I Was in Labor? I'm a 28-year-old female, and I have been working at my company for 5 years, and until recently, I loved my job. I was 8 months pregnant when this happened, about a month ago, so I started having contractions while at work. Since I was not due yet, I thought that it was just Braxton Hicks, because they weren't that intense yet. Just a week before that, I had experienced Braxton Hicks, and I went to the hospital, but it was a false alarm. This time, I was still working when the contractions started in the morning. And again, I thought that it was Braxton Hicks. I didn't want to cause a scene, so I tried to keep working. Last time I went to the hospital, my boss, John, made a sarcastic comment about me being overly dramatic and joked about how I should just schedule my labor around important meetings. I have social anxiety and I tend to take people's garbage without pushing back, so I just took it. By noon, the contractions were getting stronger and closer together, and I knew that it was a real labor. I needed to go to the hospital. I informed John that I was in labor and I needed to leave. He rolled his eyes and said, "Just stay for the meeting at 1 p.m. It's crucial and we need you there." I was stunned. I reiterated that I was in active labor and needed to go to the hospital immediately. John snapped back, "It's just a meeting, sit through it, and then you can go. It's not like the baby is going to pop out right now." Feeling pressured and scared for my job, I reluctantly stayed. The meeting lasted for an excruciating 2 hours. By the end of it, I was in so much pain that I could barely walk. I finally left and I drove myself to the hospital, where I was admitted immediately. My husband reached us in 30 to 40 minutes later because he was on the other side of town for a meeting. My daughter was born later that evening, thankfully healthy despite the delay. When I told my husband what had happened, he was furious and insisted that we report John to HR. I was hesitant because I didn't want to jeopardize my job, but I agreed that it was the right thing to do. HR was appalled and assured me that they would handle the situation. John has since been suspended pending an investigation. The real kicker, during the investigation, it came out that John had emailed the entire office while I was in labor and complained about my lack of commitment and made fun of me for overreacting. He even implied that I was using my pregnancy as an excuse to get out of work. Now my coworkers are mad at me, saying that I overreacted and that I should have just gotten over it for the sake of the company. I've even received messages and emails from a few colleagues saying that I've ruined John's career and that he was just doing his job under pressure. One even said that I should have just toughed it out like their wife did during her pregnancy. The stress from this whole ordeal has made it difficult for me to enjoy my first few days with my newborn. I'm constantly second-guessing myself and I feel guilty, despite knowing what I did was best for my baby and me. To make matters worse, the interim manager who took the job over from John is even worse. He made it clear to everyone that he resents my actions and has made my return to work unbearable. Now that my maternity leave is over, I find myself isolated at work. People give me side eyes and whisper about me. During lunch, I'm alone because no one wants to sit with the troublemaker. It feels like high school all over again, and I dread going into work every single day and facing hostility and judgment. I never imagined that doing what was right for my health and my baby's well-being would be turning my colleagues against me like this. It's gut-wrenching to feel so isolated and vilified for simply standing up for myself and my rights. I cry most of the time when I come home and sometimes even in the office washroom when someone passes a comment. In the worst of the moments, I get mad at my husband and I blame him for making me tell HR, even though I know he did the right thing. He's so sweet and he never takes it to heart. I apologize soon after, but he always says that he isn't mad at me and that he understands how I'm feeling, especially since I'm just 1 month postpartum. He says that I should take action and complain, but I don't want to make things worse. He also says that he can't see me like this and that I should just quit because it's hurting him. I don't know what to do. I'm just such a sensitive and emotional person in general, and now it's worse since giving birth. Am I the jerk for reporting my boss after he forced me to attend a meeting despite knowing that I was in labor? All right, folks, what do you think?
Absolutely not the jerk. And OP, it probably would be best to lawyer up. What this company, I don't know where OP lives, but in most places what this company is doing would be very, very illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, It is dangerous to try and expect someone to hold back their like contractions and stop the
Mm-hmm.
labor. That can cause serious negative health outcomes for both the pregnant person and the child.
Yeah.
And so it's absolutely despicable and shows how little these people actually understand of pregnancy and childbirth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not to mention, like what you were saying, there's like OSHA violations here, the American Disabilities Act violations. There's just a laundry list of like violations that they've, made here. Like there are some like civil rights acts that they violated because you have to treat people fairly based off conditions that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would imagine I'm not a lawyer, but I would imagine that what they've done here is terribly illegal and a violation of OP's rights. And I would think that any lawyer would be happy to be representing OP given the number of things that they've done wrong here.
And the irony of these people telling OP to tough it up when it sounds like none of them have ever been in labor. Oh, you should tough it out like my wife did. It's like, dude, dude.
Yeah. Well, and that's it, is that they don't seem to be talking from experience. And maybe there are some women in there, but it's really unfortunate that OP has to suffer this reprisal based off of what these people's attitudes. I just don't think that this is right at all, and I think the company will get into a tremendous amount of trouble if OP takes legal action against them.
Which I hope they do. They deserve it because, again, this boss deserved to be fired. He was literally putting OP's life in the
Yeah,
line. I'm
yeah,
glad she had a smooth delivery, but like, people die in labor. It's not an uncommon thing, especially if they go into labor in a bad location. And
yeah,
so it was totally irresponsible. He does not deserve to have a job, and neither do any of these other coworkers who are harassing OP and creating a hostile work environment.
yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And position such 1097 says, not the jerk, your boss is a complete and utter disgrace. Forcing you to stay during labor is not just unethical, it's potentially criminal. You did the right thing by reporting him. Your health and your baby's health comes first. Your coworkers, who are siding with him, clearly have no empathy or understanding of basic human decency. You deserve to work in an environment where you're respected and treated with dignity, not bullied and coerced into putting your life at risk. And position such 1097 says, also, I think that you should press charges against him. What he did was not only morally wrong, but potentially illegal. He put both your life and your baby's life in jeopardy. The fact that he made jokes about scheduling your labor around meetings shows just how little he cares about you as a person. This man should not only be fired, but also face legal consequences for his actions. His behavior is appalling, and it's infuriating to think that someone in his position would abuse their power in such a dangerous way. He deserves to be held accountable to the fullest extent. You should sue them and make sure that they learn the lesson that they'll soon not forget. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Allowing My Husband to Go on a Business Trip with the Woman That He Cheated With Me On? My friends have mixed opinions about this. Here's our story. 6 years ago, my husband cheated on me with a woman who was part of our social circle. I found out about it and I wanted to divorce him. My husband made a considerable effort to repair their marriage, and I decided not to go through with the divorce. I can say that since then, and until recently, we have had a beautiful relationship without major issues. I almost forgot what happened until 2023. That woman coincidentally got hired by the same company where my husband works. My husband did not hide this from me. In fact, he seemed bothered by the awkward situation, especially since the company requires employees to declare any past or present relationships with coworkers. He didn't say anything at work about their past relationship because all of his coworkers know us both and know that we've been married for 12 years. And it would have been a very strange situation. I felt chills down my spine when I heard the news, but I tried not to think about it too much. My husband hasn't shown any interest in that woman, and our relationship has not changed at all. It's still a beautiful relationship. Well, last week, both of them were notified that they have to go to a business trip to Canada. The two of them and another person from the company, but from a branch in another state who doesn't know either my husband or that woman. This time, no matter how much I want to overlook it, I can't. The thought of my husband being around this woman again for 14 days drives me crazy. I told him that I don't want to hear about such a thing. That if he goes on this trip, then I'll leave him for good. I know that I'm putting him in a difficult situation, especially since he can't really miss this trip without facing repercussions at work. I don't know what to do. I feel guilty, but I also feel justified in behaving this way. Am I the jerk in the situation? Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk here. I mean, the person who's being the jerk is your husband for hiding important company information from the company. They have a policy to disclose past relationships with
Yeah.
people, and he didn't want the discomfort of letting HR know that he's a cheater.
Yeah.
So instead he decided to bury it and make you deal with the consequences.
Yeah, and his pride is coming before his fall here, right? He needs to go to HR, he needs to explain the situation, and then they'll hopefully rework this whole travel without actually having any kind of repercussion for him. The only thing that he'll have repercussions for is his reputation, which, I mean, if you've cheated, then, I mean, to a certain degree, you do deserve to have that follow you around. It sounds like things have mended and that OP and her husband are doing really well now, but why even put them in that kind of situation where there's the temptation of cheating? I think HR needs to know, that way they can make sure that any time in the future, these two are not scheduled to go on trips alone with each other.
Right. And I mean, HR isn't supposed to spread this around the company. It doesn't guarantee they won't. And he may be uncomfortable just with HR knowing anyway. But, like, again, dude made choices. He has to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think that OP is wrong for raising this situation here and putting him in this difficult situation. It's a difficult situation, but one of his own creation. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Clear-Headed 01 says, not the jerk, extremely so. No contact with a fair partner is mandatory in reconciliation to succeed, even after 6 years. And that includes hubby working with the fair partner or traveling with her. Sorry, but you and he cannot tell a fair partner what she should do or what she should not do. But husband needs to find a new job. Sorry. And a fair partner, her spouse has no opinion on this at all. I assume that he was told of the adultery. Yes? And OP replies, she is alone. She has never been in a long-term relationship. The only relationships have been based on being intimate. And Complete Design 5395 says, not the jerk, your husband messed up the moment he realized that she works with him and decided not to tell HR. I draw the same line in the sand, for example, this trip, and I would follow through if he goes through with it. Deal breaker for me. Actually, cheating is a deal breaker. Wanting to go on a work trip with his affair partner is just beyond messed up. He should have told HR immediately and started networking for a new job. It's just messed up that he's making you live with knowing that he's in close proximity with the contact of his affair partner. Gross of him. And, oh man, no thank you says, are we buying the coincidence? She just happened to get a job after he did? Even if the husband had nothing to do with it, she knew. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk? My coworker invited me to a Taylor Swift concert. Now everyone is mad that I declined. I think that this is totally stupid that so many people are telling me that I'm in the wrong here. So I need an outside opinion on the matter. I don't think that there is much background needed other than I'm the only straight male employee in the company with about 60 employees, and most of my coworkers are way older than me. Also, some have told me that they're upset that I'm not talking to them outside of work, but I have nothing to talk about with them even at work. This morning, pretty much immediately, my 25-year-old male coworker, let's call her Casey, I think that she's 2 or 3 years older than me, came into my lab and was very excited to tell me that she last minute got a hold of some tickets for Taylor Swift concert this Wednesday and that her group has one extra ticket, so she is taking me for free. She spoke so quickly and excitedly that I could barely understand her before I could politely decline. She also said that HR has already approved the time of day for me on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It took me a couple of seconds to understand what she was saying after she was done before I could respond because the way she presented it all, as this was a done deal, and it threw me for a loop. Before I could say a thing, my face must have given it away that I was clearly not as happy as she was hoping for. So Casey got mad and asked if I had anything better to do. I then finally responded, trying to be polite. I basically said that I don't know any Taylor Swift songs and that also I was saving my time off for something different. Casey then left without saying a word, but she was clearly upset. All day, I had coworkers telling me that I should apologize to Casey and that I should be grateful that Casey invited me along because the tickets are hard to get and they're expensive. The HR lady even told me that I should pay Casey back for the ticket, but I never talked to Casey about anything other than work. So why did she think that I would like to go to that concert? And according to Casey's story, she didn't buy the ticket for me, but just so happened to have one too many, so why should I pay for that? I'm currently waiting for my wife to come home to ask her what she thinks about this, but before she comes home, what do you folks think? Am I the jerk? at it because I think that I made a mistake when I said HR approved my time off. My company is probably not as formal about such things as they should be, and HR department is only one person. I might have worded it badly, but what HR said to Casey was that she would approve my time off for me if I wanted, because the other lab tech would be in at that time. But I'm definitely going to remind HR not to talk to anyone about me that isn't personally me, or in emergencies, my wife. And regarding why Casey asked me to go to the concert, my wife and I think it's because we are about the same age and all the other coworkers are at least 10 plus years older. Why no one outside of work? I don't know anything about her personal life, so I can't guess. I will talk to her and ask her why she's so upset when she comes back to work. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. She's free to invite you, but you are not obligated to go. Like, if someone gets a ticket without consulting you, you are not obligated to just drop everything and go along with their plans.
Yeah, especially since it's going to require you to take time off, right? Maybe it would be a little more understanding if they were like waiving your time and being like, yeah, you go have fun, don't worry about time off, right? Then there would be like little incentive to not go at that point in time. But I mean, if OP doesn't like Taylor Swift and doesn't want to go to one of her concerts, who can blame him for not wanting to go? This is like, if you don't like a particular artist, it's one of those things where that's what you do for a close partner. Like, you might go to a concert with them because they like that person, not necessarily because you like them, but not for a acquaintance at best. It just doesn't seem to add up in that respect. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Stunt Member says, this post has to be fake. I cannot imagine why Casey would spend hundreds of dollars on a ticket for a concert to which she intended to invite a married man. Nor can I believe HR would approve a time off request from a third party. That's a violation of so many privacy laws, I can't even begin to start. And Opie replies, Casey's story was that she and her friends wanted to go, and they tried to get any tickets that they could, and because of a miscommunication, they ended up buying one too many. I mean, that sounds plausible. I mean, I don't see why that wouldn't be. But, again, like, why OP? I'm wondering if it wasn't a miscommunication in that Casey actually is kind of interested in OP.
Was my guess reading this. That's the only, like, fathomable reason I could imagine.
And that's why Casey's so mad about it, too, is because they had this whole plan in their head that maybe they would be able to, take OP to this and maybe the stars would align or connect or something like that. I don't know.
Well, and if OP's very closed off about his personal life at work, she might not even know he's married.
Yeah. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has another knock-knock joke from Jovial Bobstein.
Knock, knock.
I would try to not answer the door, but I just know Jovial Bobstein will sit there and knock on my door until I answer it, like some kind of horror movie. So we'll just rip this bandage off and say, Jovial Bobstein, go away. We don't want any of your solicitations.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Carl.
Carl who?
Call me a taxi. I want to go to the airport.
You should call yourself a taxi and go to the airport. Why am I? I'm not your secretary. And I have licorice spice or the throat coat tea. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Spectacular Saturday, folks. I hope your Saturday is off to a spectacular start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and have it on coworkers.
If your coworker does something illegal, it's okay to report them. And if your other coworkers react badly, it's okay to report them too and lawyer up. You've done nothing wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.